Welcome, everyone. So this is precious, right? These are founders. These are C-level executives. We've got 5 of them on the stage to share some wisdom and insights. And I think the topic that's on everyone's mind out there is growth. Most of you are involved in marketing in some way or another. And I'd like to open with that. And I'd like to start by saying, you know, what methods did you find brought you success? It could be a platform, it could be a marketing initiative, it could be a product strategy, but could you give the audience something specific that you think really helped your brand drive growth? And I'm gonna start with you simply because you're next to me.
I'll think back to the early days to start. I mean, early on, I always draw back to my time. I started my career managing white hip hop artists, and there's no one has to sell something that someone doesn't know more than white hip hop artists in the early days trying to make it. So fake it till you make it is something, but you have to create this feeling that you're everywhere. You have to build trust and validation with the customer, that they want to come back, they want your product. And so for us, it was seeding our product out to influencers, making it, but we had a product they wanted, right? So for us, it was easy and it got out there. We really tried to find these people that loved the brand, wanted the product, so they spoke genuinely about it. And from day one, we were getting inbounds from celebrities and influencers that wanted our product, and that really helped us take off, from the beginning.
How did you get your product into their hands to begin with?
I mean, hustle, right? Just reaching out to start, but then the inbound, right? Day one, Jessica Alba comments on our Instagram post. Then she DMs us, she wants our product. And that kind of story kept going, and it was people with millions of followers, but it was also people with tens of thousands of followers. And so it's kind of unpredictable who's going to bring the results and who's going to perform. But for us, it was more about just getting out there, taking the risk, and then adapting from there. It wasn't about having locked-in strategy. It was really about just kind of going with the flow, looking at the data, but also just trusting your gut.
Cool. We promise we won't do this on every question, but because this one is so universal, I would like to give everyone a chance to chime in here. Laura, I'll ask you to go next.
Definitely. So for us, we're a natural skincare line. We are omni-channel. So I think that being omni-channel has been a big driver of growth for us. Within beauty, consumers still do like to smell, touch, and feel the product before they make that purchasing decision. So we know that being in point of distribution is really critical. In the early stages, finding those retail points that drive validation and trust within your audience is really critical. So for us, that was specialty retailers like Credo and Detox Market that have a really high standard within natural. By consumers seeing us in those touch points, they know that we actually follow the rules of what natural should be and that we mean something from a brand standards point. And then growing over time into Whole Foods and some of the larger nationwide stores has been great for us for growth. And then similar to what you mentioned as well, it's a lot of grassroots stuff early on. For us, our repeat purchase rate is around 40%. So many of our sales come from other customers referring their friends and family or them trying the product for the first time. So a huge unlock for us has been doing a lot of sampling directly through our meta ads. That's been massive for us. It's a great and really affordable way to acquire new customers, and we find that around 25% of people that get the sample pack through their meta ads actually repeat purchase through our own D2C, and then there's probably another portion that we're missing because they're going to our retail distributions. So those would be the two strategies, is think about all the places that your consumers are early on and get in there, even if it's just a few mom and pop stores initially. And then try to find ways to get product into people's hands within the beauty space.
Fascinating, especially with the sampling and meta. A lot of people might not even be aware that that's an offering.
Yeah.
Ron, I'll ask you the same thing.
Yeah, so I'll give a more tactical example because we're doing something that's kind of really weirdly working right now. So we're a women's collagen brand focused on weight loss and hair, skin, and nails. And one of the things after Facebook just started, raising costs like crazy on us, one of the things we've been doing is we're going to Reddit and taking really interesting stories about people who've lost weight or have, taken products that are helping their hair, skin, and nails. We're using those as really powerful hooks and stories. And then we're going to TikTok, and I don't know if you guys have heard of Minecraft. There's these weird Minecraft videos that play in the background, and you overlay a story on top of it, okay? And we've just been overlaying these crazy stories, and then we're tying it to some of our customer experiences. And we've like gone viral pretty much every week for the last like 2 months. It's so odd because we have our product on Amazon, and our fat burner is #1 on Amazon with 90 reviews. Like there's products that have 40,000 reviews that are #2 and #3. And it's driving a ton of traffic. It's been our most profitable channel and strategy, and it's working really well. So happy to share links to what we've made too if you guys need it. But been interesting to see how to take that spin on TikTok, different from just TikTok Shop and Creator Marketplace, which I think is just the more common and frequent, and I believe it's gonna probably get saturated pretty quickly. So just thinking of ways you're consuming content and seeing how you can spin it for your own brand.
Wow, thank you for, I love the specifics of the Minecraft overlay. For those of you that have 9-year-olds, you now have a way to bring them into digital marketing. Matt, I'll move on to you with the same question, please.
Yeah, I think I'm half of your traffic with like a 12, an 11, a 9, and an 8 just watching your videos in between actually playing Minecraft and Roblox. We've been around for 12 years. We started in Dubai, online only, making custom clothes for men. Kind of a weird thing to do. I was running a hospital's IT department at the time, also a weird thing to do. So we've tried everything that usually works. We tried to buy growth. We probably wasted $15 or $20 million on ads that didn't do anything. We tried to PR our way to growth. Went on Mad Money with Jim Cramer, made a suit for David Beckham, did the entire LA Rams, and then they went and won the Super Bowl. Does not work. I think we might have gotten a handful of clients from, a sit down with Jim Cramer on CNBC, which should be awesome. But it's a very personal thing where our average sales $2,000 for men or for women. What worked was giving it away. So we go around, we find people who are our likely clients. I'm in YPO, so I go to different YPO chapters and hand out free $1,000 tuxedos. And if somebody comes in and gets it, we know we have these customers for life. Our lifetime value is like 10 grand. Nobody stops shopping as a guy if you find something that looks good and someone tells you, hey, you look good. It's like finding a new dentist. You're never gonna go do it. So all of that wasted money, all of those wasted ads, and our product and our advertising is people walking around wearing it at the end of the day. So if I could go back in time and beat myself up for wasting that money when it was cheap and easy to get, oof. It'd be a different world today.
Awesome. Free always works, but the fact that it drives future sales makes it worth that investment. And please sign me, and show of hands, anyone who'd like to be your likely customer and sign up for that offer here, perhaps after the panel. Okay, and finally, last but not least, Andrei, I'll ask you the same question.
Sure. So when we started 10 years ago, I wish we had 10 million to spend, but we were a very lean startup, and we started with a new thing that day, influencer marketing. And at that time, we were able to get a free video in exchange of our product, so that was very cheap. Over time, obviously, it became way more expensive. But what we found was we had to go beyond just the beauty category. And we found 2 areas where we were successful. One was travel, because our perfume is travel size and it's easy to take you for a vacation or for business travel like this one. But another surprising area was stand-up comedy. So we found a lot of success with comedian and stand-up comedian on YouTube, on Instagram, who were just saying interesting story and were able to integrate our product into this one, into their story. What we do now and what brings the most of the success right now is constant experimentation with Meta family. So every month we run hundreds and hundreds of commercials. And what allows us to do that is GenAI. I bet a lot of people already mentioned it this conference. But we constantly play with new copy, with new images, and that allows us to maintain a very good cost of acquisition in regards to our LTV. So that is a successful recipe for the last several years.
Great, thank you, Andrei. Let me flip gears for a second, because another thing we talked about, you gotta have great product, but you gotta have great people. And all of you have been there because you started from zero, basically. One of the things in the pre-call that came up was there a key hire or a key position that you would have done much earlier if you had known then what you know now. Okay, little bit tricky question, so in fairness, I'm gonna go in the reverse order. Andrei, giving a little more time down here this time. Was there a key person that maybe was hired either too early or too late in your view, or a piece of wisdom you might share with the crowd about hiring?
I would say our VP of operations. We do our own fulfillment, so for a very long period of time, we used to work with 3PL providers, and with all the respect to them, we were just one of other customers. Not the biggest one, not the most important one, and with our sophisticated flows in regards to orders, what can get inside, we were not prioritized, and our customers were not getting these orders fast enough. So when we took this in-house, and that was a separate, interesting but stressful story, we're able to achieve a lot of success with that, and our operations team care a lot about every hour, every minute, that they can shave off the fulfillment time of the delivery time. So now, in a matter of 4 days, we can fulfill more than 100,000 orders. We repeat it almost every week, and that's what makes our customers delighted, because if we spend another day or two, we immediately start getting a lot of customer requests that obviously affect our CX team, and that's not good.
Okay, so operations in short, and then some good reasons about what happens after that. All right, again, moving down the line, I'll go to Matt next.
The former head of McKinsey, she wrote a wonderful book called Talent Wins, and it is just an entire book of examples to answer this question. We did not read it, certainly not in time, and we tried what everybody else did. I was one of the beta customers for Google Ads when they first launched back in 2000, 2001 at a previous company I started. And we figured, all right, we've got money, let's advertise. That's how this is gonna work, it's gonna be great. And we went with agency after agency, even our PE firm that came in and said, here's the agency that's gonna take you guys to the moon. And their customer acquisition, ours is about $300 now. They got to 2,000 before we eventually were like, maybe not. And brought it in-house and got a head of marketing. And the difference was that head of marketing's job was to sit down, know everything about our customers inside and out, and they lived in the same office as our top salespeople in our headquarters. And so all they did was live that customer story. So finding a unique solution to this problem and realizing, oh my gosh, we're giving stuff away. If we had given it away instead of advertised, we'd be 3 times the size we are. And no ad agency was gonna come give us that answer. So yeah, that was expensive.
Great marketing, aligned with your actual business values. And we've learned that when an agency is gonna take you to the moon, it's quite expensive to get there. All right, Ron, what do you have to say on this?
Yeah, so about a year and a half into our company, we did something, because we really wanted to build a community. We exported our Excel orders and then did a pivot on total spend and took highest LTV customers. And then the top 20 customers who had spent at that point, hundreds, some even in the thousands of dollars, we reached out to them and said, hey, for the rest of your life, Obvi orders are gonna be free. But in exchange, we want you to help us cultivate a community. Today, the Facebook community that we started is about 80,000 women on a Facebook group. It's the largest collagen community. But what we learned was when you kind of cultivate people and empower them that way, because I don't need more LTV out of someone who's already spent thousands of dollars with me. But what I do need is for them to foster the next part of my business, which is just tons of trust and respect and whatnot. So anyway, when we saw that was working, we hired a community manager. And that community manager has taken that to another level now, where after a certain threshold, if a customer has spent enough, that's it. We don't need them to spend more with us. We need them to cultivate the next round of customers for us. And our community now becomes a place where we send all of our traffic, or even if we have comments on our ads, we answer the question, but we say tons of other answers are available in our community. And that community piece now is like the nucleus of our brand.
Okay, awesome. And I'll move on to you, Laura.
Yeah, so for me, my co-founder Connie and I started the brand with just $4,000. We each put $2,000 into the business, and that's how we got off the ground. So very, very scrappy, hustly early days. So this is going to be a bit of a different answer from you guys, but I wish that our first hire had been an executive assistant. I needed someone that just would take over some of those really annoying things that are the administrative side of the business that would just consume so much of our time and attention that we should not have been focused on those like critical early stages. And we hired an EA, I think too late. So it's a weird insight that I've gained, but I wish that that was our first hire. And then from hiring mistakes, maybe to like spin your question a little bit, I've found that our worst hires have always been ones that we've hired and been allowed ourselves to be swayed by their logos on their resume. Those are not the right hires for us ever. We want to hire for culture fit and really find people that are soldiers, willing to be in the trenches, especially when you're building out your first like 10, 20 people on the team. We've hired from big brands, big competitors, big retailers within the beauty space, and it never, ever, ever has worked out because they're just used to different mindset, different budget, different scale. So for anyone that's building out a new team, either within a larger org or that you're building out your first maybe like dozen employees, don't allow yourself to be pulled away by the logos on the resumes that you see.
Great points. So one, EA, I think that gets to the broader question, how as a founder are you using your time?
Yeah.
And two, cultural fit. You know, I'm starting a competing search engine. Do I really want someone from Google? Right, like you said. So awesome, thanks for that. And finally, of course, again, last but not least.
So I don't think there's a silver bullet. I think it's different for every business based on founder skill set, existing team skill set. But I think where we've gone wrong at times is hiring speculatively. When you think you need a role or a function solved, but there's no problem yet. You just think you need it. And so one thing I always tell earlier stage founders is it's okay to let things break. When you let things break, you understand more about what you need. And so we've always pushed our team, you know, as our team has grown and grown, to feel comfort in the discomfort because it will help us have a more proactive or productive conversation about what we really need, what are the gaps and the holes on the team. Without that breakage, you don't really understand that. So that's something we've felt, you know, we've gotten comfortable with and has allowed us to hire tremendous people that stay at our company for a long time.
Oh, very interesting. All right, thank you all for your insights on people. Great book. What was the title of that? One more time.
Talent wins.
Talent wins. So we've all got a homework assignment. Talent's important for everyone. Doesn't matter, you know, sort of what you're doing. The other thing, one of you, and I think it's you, Ron, made a very interesting comment about what I'll call building in public. And I think that was how you phrased it. Because that seemed so unusual, can you just say briefly, what do you mean by I'm building in public? And what have you used that to do specifically?
Yeah, I think when we started Obvi about 5 years ago, pre-iOS, people were still a little bit secretive about, if they figured out something, they wouldn't really share it. I think post-iOS, we've all become really open to sharing everything. So I think one thing that we just committed to doing was we didn't know what Obvi was going to turn into. It kind of started off as a hobby and then turned into a brand. So we just said we're going to share everything. So across Twitter and LinkedIn, we pretty much share like our P&L. We share everything we're building. We're sharing every element of it just to see if it can help somebody else. And also, we get a lot of feedback on like, oh, well, cool, you're trying this. If you're sharing this with me, I'll share this with you. And so internally, like, we have this like really cool feedback cycle where it's like, we'll share something, but then we'll find 3 or 4 other things or other ways to look at it. And I think that whole building in public, I think we're all kind of doing it. Like, why are we going to these expos and conferences? We're learning and sharing from each other. And I think we can formalize it a little bit more by using the platforms and channels that we have access to. But it takes time, you know, you have to commit to it. But I think there is a piece of learning that comes from it, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think I'll add that not everybody's comfortable being on LinkedIn or Twitter and being so public with it for a host of reasons. Maybe it's just not who you are. But one thing that it feels weird to me is when I'm talking to another founder or even just, you know, executive, and they're so guarded.
Yes.
And it's like we're all going through the same things. That answer of how's everything? Oh, it's great. It's not always fucking great. Sometimes it sucks. And just letting your guard down, admitting like what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, where are the wins, you learn from each other.
Exactly.
And so everybody, I hope that everybody can be don't share your trade secrets, that's cool, but like let your guard down a little bit, and you might learn something from Ron or from someone else, and so just be open with one another.
Well said.
There's kind of an extra level below that. I have never hit the wall on too much sharing, but I've noticed the team that's under me, when they do share, they get this pride and this confidence built because they did something, they put it out there, and a client came back, or even a partner, and said, that's amazing, I've never heard. And when someone hears that from David Lauren when they're 25 years old, yeah, they're pretty good for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
They're never gonna leave, so.
Makes a lot of sense. Let me shift gears back slightly to talking about your customer set. You've got retention, you've got loyalty, you've got new customers. If you had to think about that pivot of where you're investing time and energy right now, for where we are in 2024 with everything going on in the world, not necessarily an easy year, not necessarily a terrible year. We still have positive growth. We still have almost record low unemployment. Got some interesting geopolitical situations. So a mixed year. Are you going to lean in more towards growth, new customers, or more towards I want to sort of get as much value out of the existing ones as I can? I'll open up to anyone who'd like to comment.
I can start. So we're a subscription business, so for us, retention is critically important. So depending on how good is the inbound customers, the better will be LTV. So it's like when we started, we had different people responsible for growth and retention. And at some point, we realized that incentive is not just there. Like one first person will care about how many new customers he can attract, and the second person cares about how many people she can retain, and they will always fighting over this. So for us, we always keep that in balance, and we always communicate about all the customers that we bring in and how we can retain them, because this question will pop up next year and the year after this. Like, hey, cost of acquisition are going up. They will always go up, so we'll always have to come up with something new, and we'll always have to think about retention, but we cannot separate them one from each other.
I can jump in here as well. So I think it depends on the company in terms of where you should focus. Right now, we're focused on growth. Within many startups, especially venture-backed companies, getting to profitability has been a huge topic of conversation over the last year and a half to 2 years in particular. So I think it depends on where you are on that profitability journey. If you're still not profitable, you should be solely focused on retention, in my view. Like that is really what you should be fixated on. If you're acquiring customers and they're not sticking around, you need to figure out where the holes in your bucket are first before you keep investing the precious dollars that you have within acquiring new customers. If you are profitable, that's probably when you can start turning on the taps a little bit more and growing faster.
Yeah, in the last 5 years, the cost of capital's tripled.
Yeah.
The next 5 years, it will triple again. So growth is way more expensive than expanding your existing customer base. And if your unit economics don't work, then yeah, you're toast. Doesn't matter how much you grow, even if they drop in tomorrow for free, you're gonna lose money and you're gonna die.
So back to basics, unit economics, don't chase growth at all costs. We've got 30 seconds left. 1 to 10, Amazon.com. 1, my products will be on there when you pry them out of my cold, dead hand. 10, I love it, I'm on there, I need it.
10, if you're not on Amazon, you're leaving so much money on the table.
We're probably like a 5. It's a place that we have to be as a defense play. We don't love it because the margin is atrocious compared to selling through our own channel.
11, you have to be on.
11, wow.
We're all custom. They can't handle this yet.
Problem solved, Andrei.
5, half of the business is there, the different product is not.
Okay, so mixed bag. Thank you. That's our time for now. Really appreciate it.